welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for a massive transfer update because we are moving into the final 24 hours of this incredible transfer window. And coming up today, we're going to be discussing the very latest on everything happening at Barça, the latest on Aubameyang to Chelsea. Is that move going to go through? We're also going to be talking about Jordi Alba. Incredible revelations on him in the past few hours. Could he really leave the club? And we're also going to be talking as well about the imminent move there away for Sergiño Dest. Is it a good move for him? Is it a good move for the club? We're breaking it all down right here. So let's do it. Now today's big transfer video is coming to you guys courtesy of the OneFootball app, because as we move into deadline day, this is the place that you want to be. You want to get yourself sitting somewhere comfortably. You want to strap yourselves in because this is going to be a wild end to the window. It's been absolutely crazy so far. And if you want to stay updated there throughout this deadline day, every piece of news as it happens, then get yourself over to OneFootball, download it there using the link in the description down below, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed, and thank you indeed for all of your support on that, guys. But if we do kick off with the very latest on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, because we've known now over these past few weeks Barça and Chelsea have been negotiating very intensely over the transfer of Aubameyang. Those negotiations have continued today, and Chelsea are also still trying to include their Marcos Alonso in any potential deal. Barça remain keen on Alonso. If they can make that deal happen, he could be included, but Fabrizio Romano says that today Barça rejected an offer of 15 million euros plus Marcos Alonso for Aubameyang, but Barca said that's not enough. They want more than that, and it is believed there that we are holding out for a fee that will exceed 20 million euros. And I think Barca right now are feeling as though Chelsea need this signing. They're sort of playing on that desperation factor here as we're entering the final hours of the window, because especially this summer, when you look at the way that Chelsea have spent money, the kind of money they're spending on lots and lots of players, and although they have signed pretty much every centre-back in world football, except Jules Koundé, they still, and they know this, they need goals. They need to bring in some attacking firepower. Aubameyang would be the answer to that, but we are going to try and make them pay for him. But earlier on in the week, of course, really sad news to hear that Aubameyang and his family were the victims of a robbery at their own house. Very disturbing scenes indeed. Real shame to hear that, of course. And unfortunately, during that robbery, Aubameyang actually sustained injuries there from that, which has now resulted in him suffering a broken jaw, which is actually going to keep him sidelined there for several weeks now as he recovers from that. And of course, we wish him a very speedy recovery. We hope him and his family stay safe, and that's of course their priority right now. And I think for sure, his future in football, what that next move may or may not be for Aubameyang and his family, that's very much secondary right now. So what I will say is, no matter what happens with Aubameyang, where he ends up this summer, I really do wish him all the very best, and I hope that he is doing well right now as we continue to keep an eye on what is happening with him. But if we do make the switch now to Jordi Alba, because this is a massive story, guys, and again for me, when we're talking about Alba, we discussed him in yesterday's video at some length, and then we were talking about surprises, and again today, this for me has come out of nowhere, because Barca are, even now entering these final hours, they're looking for opportunities to offload Jordi Alba, because it's been widely reported now in both the Catalan media and indeed the Italian media that Barça and Inter Milan, they've reached an agreement. The two clubs there have an agreement in principle to loan Jordi Alba to Inter for the coming season. Don't forget that Inter there are our Champions League group stage opponents, and it is reported there that Inter would pay 40% of Jordi Alba's wages, and that's interesting because they wouldn't take on the full wage because it's believed to be so high. Because even they're offloading just 40% of that salary, that would still be a pretty sizable sum. That would still be a large amount there. Jordi Alba describing Alba's salary today as incredibly high, and that is why Barca are just listening if there are offers out there. Now, right now, the decision firmly still lies with Jordi Alba. He hasn't given a yes, he hasn't given a definitive no at this point, but it is believed that right now, his preference is still to stay. In an ideal world, he would still like to remain at Barca, and apparently Alba is quite surprised here that the club are looking to offload him, even despite, of course, the start of the season that he's had. He appears to have been cast aside and replaced in the lineup by Alejandro Balde, but for now, he still wants to remain here. But I do think it's interesting. I think Alba has a decision to make, because I would look here just a little bit further down the line, and I would think about the World Cup. If I'm Jordi Alba right now, I have always had to work really hard to convince Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique has never quite been sure, quite convinced by Jordi Alba, and imagine now if he's not playing too. If Jordi Alba continues to be left on the sidelines, if Balde continues to be in Xavi's lineup and Alba isn't, Luis Enrique's not going to take him. He will not be in Luis Enrique's team for the World Cup. And Jordi Alba has to have that in his mind if he wants to be there in Qatar. And I would also look as well at that situation with Marcos Alonso. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. If he was to come in, we've spoken about it before, that would affect Alba too, especially now with him being on the bench, him being seen as a backup. Well, if Alonso comes in along with Balde now, who's emerged, Jordi Alba could potentially go through this season, if he doesn't depart, as the third choice left back. And that for him, that's a bad situation to be in if, like I say, you've got ambitions. But if we do indeed go from one fullback to another, because let's talk now about Sergiño Dest, because this is somebody who is going to accept his exit, and he does have a move lined up, not to Inter Milan, but to their arch rivals AC Milan, because it has been widely reported now that Dest will be joining AC Milan on loan for the coming season. They are going to pay there the entirety of Sergiño Dest's salary, thus removing that amount from our La Liga wage allowance, but that is, of course, a loan deal for the coming season. Now, in terms of a permanent move, AC Milan will have a 20 million option to buy in that deal. Now, I've got to stress, that is not an obligation. There is no guarantee there that they have to sign Dest, but the option is there for 20 million if they do indeed want to do that. And that means that if Dest was to leave next summer for that amount, Barca would sort of record a little bit of a loss, nothing too crazy. We signed him back in 2020 there for 21 million plus 5 in variables. So Barca there accepting a little bit of a loss if they were to get that 20 million fee. And I think what you'd have to say, first of all, is that given the situation, obviously in these opening league games, we have heard loud and clear from Xavi that he doesn't count on Sergiño Dest, leaving him there completely out of squad list. That was a situation that couldn't continue there, not for the club, not for Dest as well. And I think you've got to say, this is a great move for the player. 21 years old that he still is, he's still learning, he's still developing. Chance to go there to Italy, to Serie A, to play for the giants there of AC Milan. This is a great chance for him to really go and spark his career back into life. And I think when you're looking at Barca's point of view, the only real problem that I could see with this deal is that if Dest went there, but he didn't get in the team, if he wasn't really able to impose himself and impress at AC Milan, I think then next summer, we'd kind of be in a bad situation, because he wouldn't have gone anywhere, he wouldn't have really developed, Xavi wouldn't have changed his mind about him, and then we'd be sort of wondering what was going to happen with Dest. So I think for all parties right now, we've got to be hoping that Dest goes to Milan, that he shows what he can do, that he impresses there, that he gets in the team and plays regular football. And of course, don't forget as well, the World Cup is around the corner, as we've said, and Dest is going to play a very key part there for the USA. And let's just see next summer what Dest can do now throughout this season, and where we are going to end up. But for him, given that he wasn't playing, given that he clearly was not in Xavi's plans, and Xavi wasn't going to change his mind, this is a move that probably is going to suit all parties. But of course, guys, with all of that said and all of that done and considered, please do stay tuned now right throughout deadline day, because with Dest departing, Alba, we don't really know. That still seems to look, a little bit unlikely, but there is still going to be the chance of incomings as well. Barca are still targeting players at left back and at right back, and even Bernardo Silva rumours keep happening. But like I said before, that one still seems extremely difficult in my opinion, but do stay tuned. It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big conclusion to what has been an incredible transfer window. Thank you indeed for watching here today. Let me know your thoughts down below on the Aubameyang situation, on as well Sergiño Dest's move to AC Milan, and of course, your thoughts on Jordi Alba and that potential loan move away. I will see you soon. there will be more to come. But until next time, guys, as always, Visca El Barça.